Okay, welcome everybody to Wall Street Reporter's Investors Discovery Day live stream, June 8th, 2021. We are back with Fabled Silver Gold. Peter Hawley, the CEO. Peter, welcome back.
Thank you very much, Jack. Glad to be back.
Peter, for anybody that's new to our program here, that might be just tuning in for the first time, our goal is to bring investors those stocks which had a 10x to 100x upside potential. We've had a whole bunch of them in the past, 6 to 18 months, and we want to find out if Fabled is going to be that next 10-bagger plus. So you got some very exciting news. I see the word bonanza in the press release, which is always exciting. So before we get into that news release, for anybody that might be new to the story, just give us a snapshot of Fabled, and then we'll dive right into the exciting news that just came out.
Okay. Fabled is a fairly new company, started in December. We originally started doing geophysics over the property, which was never done in that area. And one of the reasons why this property was so intriguing, Jack, was that it's in the Parral mining camp of Chihuahua. Now, Parral has produced historically 800 million ounces of silver. And our next door neighbor, who is IMSA or Grupo Mexico, they have produced 500 million or 500 million ounces of that. And that's our next door neighbor. So we started doing geophysics. We ended up with 11 first priority IP anomalies. And then from there, started a comprehensive drill program of 8,000 meters. And right now we're a little over halfway through that. But in addition to that, Jack, as you know, we increased it to another 1,200 meters and brought in an underground drill to start drilling. And we've had numerous discoveries to date. And this is the proof in the pudding, and this is where it's starting to lead us. So I think the next bunch of drill results are going to be quite intriguing for the company.
Okay, so let's talk about the latest news. The stock is so hot that the fire alarm is going off here. So we're going to have this going on. Sorry, this is going to be popping in every few minutes. But this is a good omen. It's a good omen. This stock is on fire here. So, or it should be on fire. So we're going to be talking about the hole number 15. This is the Bonanza grade hole. You intercepted, and you'll explain to us what this means in context, but you intercepted the diamond drill intercepted 2.2 kilos, which is like 70 ounces of silver. Explain to us what this means in the context of, what you're trying to accomplish, and, is this, what's going on here?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And, everyone's interested. Grade is king. Everyone gets excited with grade. And, we've been drilling these very wide, low grade structures, but also the structures containing high grade sections. Now, what's really interesting about this, Jack, is that if people have been following us so far, there's a picture of it there. If people have been following us, they'll note that we started originally at the west of the known resource on the property, or on the east, and we started proceeding along east, and we've had great success. And then we intersected the north-south structure, and again, great success. And what we realized is that there's a northeast structure traveling through the area. And this brought us back to the west part of the property, believe it or not. We were full circle. We drilled hole number 14 based on the projection of this. And we've noticed not only did hole 14 give results in excess of 300 grams per ton, and there was other areas shadowing it to the east in the mine levels of up to 800 grams. But what it told us where to drill hole number 14. Hole 15, and what's so important about this, besides the grade, is that usually when you see an extremely high silver assay, and in this case, this went off scale. It took 3 readings to get a final reading on this. It went off scale at 100 grams, it went off scale at 1.5 kilos, and finally they had to weigh it using gravimetrics and fire assay to be able to determine the final weight. And why it was so tricky, Jack, is that usually when you see these high-grade silver values, there's an associated lead component, quite a bit. There's on a ratio, and that's because the galena creates the silver. But in this case, there's virtually no lead at all. So what does that tell me? It tells me, one, is the minerals that are assaying for silver, they're either argentite, which is a very high-level silver metal, or it could be a little bit of native silver, and also silver sulfates, which we see in these high-grade epithermal deposits. This is really important because this thing that we've hit is like a feeder. If you can imagine it, it's coming from somewhere else, some very high concentration. And where is that feeder going? Where is it leaking from? Is it leaking from a bigger volume or why? And one of the things of both these things is when they come in their hot form and they're so dense and so heavy that when they hit the host rock, and in this case it's a limestone, and if the limestone has the right chemistry, and people know, they probably put lime on your lawn or whatever because it's basic. So this thing comes in and it's acidic because of the metal, and it'll eat at the basic component of the limestone and in place itself instead of the limestone. And so that's what we're seeing. As a result of that, and you can clearly see the contact on it, and the contact's at 45 degrees to core axis. And that 45 means we hit it in its true width within the bigger intersection. That 45 degrees allows us to project it where it's coming from. And hence the holes that we planned forwards, which actually the first fence has been drilled as of the weekend, to tell you the truth. So very exciting time, Jack. Very exciting time to have something like this.
Okay, sorry, Peter. We got the alarm. People, this is the bonanza alarm. This is the bonanza alarm here. So okay, so this is. I mean, so essentially, you need to right now just keep drilling along this kind of this fence. I mean, just to see where this thing goes. If there's more of this bonanza. Well,
yes, you're absolutely right. But even more so is back to me talking about structure and structure and structure. And the interesting thing is,
and you refer to this. Basically, you think this is what you call it a structure on structure. That's kind of your.
Yep.
The theory,
one overimposed on top of another.
Okay.
And that's the ground.
And in layman's terms, again, what does that mean? Structure and structure. What does that mean in context of like how big can this be?
Well, what happens is when you take two structures and you smash them in together, Jack, is that area that they intersect becomes very broken and smashed and becomes re-annealed with fluids. And in the case if there's mineralization there and it becomes re-annealed or healed with the mineralizing fluids, you'll get, they call them dilation zones. It's a blowout. It gets much bigger because the ground's been all broken, prepared for this event. So structure and structure, you'd love to see those because you can get these big breccia chimneys and pipes and all kinds of stuff happening there.
Okay, so the idea now, you're going to be drilling how many holes exactly are you going to be drilling?
What we're going to do now, the one thing I'll bring up right now, because we were talking about the other thing that's quite interesting about it is in the other holes, we had very little to no gold in them. And in these reported intersections, if you look at them, you'll see in excess of a gram per ton gold. And that is indicative of a very high temperature system, again, going with the the visual silver minerals that we see. So this is a whole different ball game. So we are, believe it or not, there's an area of about 500 meters to the west of us that has been poorly looked at or drilled or anything else. And we're going to step out systematically, like we did going east, but this time we're going west. And from this intersection that we've hit, hole 15, which we've talked about, we've stepped outside of that 100 meters to the west, Jack, and we're going to drill 2 holes at depth. And after those 2 holes, we'll step out another 100 meters to the west and continue doing this, always drilling 2 holes, perhaps 3. So for an example, we are on hole number 20 today. So the offensive holes 16, 17, 18, 19, those 2 fences, those have been drilled.
So the 2 holes that's including of these of between 20. So when you said going to the west, that's
correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And how many more? So how much more is there to go in your? I guess this is how long is the drilling program going to go for?
Well, originally I thought it was only going to go to May, to be perfectly honest. And here we are. May has come and gone. And we're a little over halfway through it. And one of the reasons for the slow production, if you want to call it that, there's a good side and a bad side to it, Jack. Because it goes a little slower, it gives you more time to think about things and what it's telling you, rather than the drill running me, I'm running the drill. On the other side of that, everybody wants to see results and go faster. But we're using bigger core now because we've had some ground problems. That slower penetration, that had a big effect. We had 1 hole that we had to re-enter into, and that took time. We had 1 hole that we lost completely, hole number 9, which was a shame. And so I bet you it's probably going to be end of September or something like that by the time we finish.
Okay. Okay. So we got there's some substantial news flow to come over the next what is it? We're in June, so July, August, 3-4 months basically.
It is, and people want results, and the shares, they go up and they go down and this and that, but basically, we're putting out the silver that investors want to see. But more importantly, because of the volume of shares, just recently we've had some more warrant money exercised. So what does that allow us? That, what, guys, come the end of September, if I like what we're doing, I'm just going to keep on drilling. Okay,
and you have plenty of cash on hand to do that. To
Actually, you know what's so funny? It's a little over 5 months since we've been, aggressively drilling on this property with the addition of the second drill underground, et cetera, Jack. And right now, as of Friday, from my CFO report I get every Friday of cash on hand, as of Friday, we had about $50,000 more than we did the financing for, because of warrant exercise. So and the financing was over allotted, and it was closed at 4.6 million. So we have more than 4.6 million right now in the bank.
Okay, and that's enough to go for quite a while. I mean, how many holes can you drill with that kind of money?
For 4.6 million?
Yeah.
Too many.
Drill all the way straight through to China from
well, either that, or if you drill it too much, it's sort of like Swiss cheese, and then you're taking all the metal, and all the metal's in the core, so when you go to mine it, Jack, there's nothing left. You've already drilled it all out.
Let's go to a couple of questions here. Okay, so Steph is asking, how many holes are we expected to get results from for the remainder of the 9,200?
Oh boy, how many holes? We're on 20. I bet you they'll be in the upper 30s. Will be the number of holes by the end of the day, unless we expand the program or whatever. So that should take us to, as I said earlier, to the end of September.
into the third. Okay, so there's okay, so this is looking good. Okay, so let's see here. What okay, Farman is asking. I had a question about the gold. Do you think there will be more gold in the future with good grades?
That's a great question. And, everyone's been hearing me talk about these high-end epithermal things and bonanza grade and everything else. And there is a boiling temperature where you have a specific type of epithermal deposits. And that's what the Incas look for and everything else. And they mine them, and they're so rich. And that's what we're on the verge of. We're on the cusp of where the high-grade gold is and where the high-grade silver is. We're right on the edge, and we're starting to see a little bit of that. So in temperature-wise, if we can find a rock unit that had, in the emplacement of the mineralization, and it was done at a higher temperature, then you certainly could get, exceptionally high gold grades.
Okay, so Amanda's asking, how many meters have we gone through the program? Seems we're still at 3,200 based on the last release.
Yeah, no, and Amanda, that's a great one. And the reason why I was kind of at 3,200, if you remember looking at the release, there was a re-release. There was a re-release of hole 8B that we went back into and drilled an extra bit, of which we were successful in outlining another zone of 1.5 meters. Then there was a re-assay of holes number 11, which was the, I believe we call it the north-south structure. That was a new find. And there was a new assay in that which increased the 30-plus meter intersection. And then at the time of reporting the last time was that holes 12 and 13 were completed and in there. So there really wasn't a big change other than holes 14 and 15. So there might have been a slight change, but there's not a big change from that. It is now, for sure, but you'll see that in the next release corrected. But thanks for bringing it to my attention, Amanda. Thank you.
Okay, so follow-up question. Given holes in 12 and 13 were pyrite, and how excited were you for those? Is your confidence shaken at all about the other IP anomalies?
Yeah, and that's a great question. That just hits the nail on the head. I can tell you personally, I was just heartbroken, Jack. Those ones, I was ready to take those to the bank. But it's interesting that we see these, a lot of iron, if you want to call it, in the system. In this case, it's a form of pyrite. And I think I mentioned before, we have seen this marcasite pyrite, which is a white pyrite. And a lot of time gold is associated with pyrite. Unfortunately, this generation of pyrite is the wrong type. But having said that, do I count out the remaining 9 first priority IP targets that are on the property? No, I don't. And actually, to tell the truth, that the area that we're drilling presently in hole 20, 18, 19, 20, is the vicinity of the IP target on the western sector of the property. So no, we don't expect them all to be pyrite.
Have you started calculating the estimated silver deposit?
No, and that's a great question too. And you know what? I would say that after this 8,000 meters of drilling, the property to calculate a meaningful, high quality, high grade resource that you could use for economics down the road, I would probably need another round of, 6,000 to 8,000 meters drilling, Jack, to start filling in the gaps at a close enough area. So answering that question, if I continue drilling, I'd say this time next year, I'd probably be ready to put out a new resource statement.
Okay. Do you plan on doing any more land acquisition?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. And I'm working on it. Let's leave it that way.
Okay. Is there still a possibility of over 50 million ounces of silver without the IP anomaly holes 12 and 13 drilled into?
Well, that one hole 15, 2.2 kilos. That's 72 troy ounces per ton. That's a good starting point. If we can find more of this, as I was talking about, these will add your ounces in a hurry. And the thing you have to remember, Jack, is for the people is that when you're extracting this rock or you're mining it, your cost per ton to extract that ton of rock, to blast it up, blow it up, pick it up, and take it out from underground, that cost is a fixed cost. So whether it's a ton of nothing or it's a ton of the more metal you can put into it, it's a fixed cost. So of course, hey, if you can put more ounces into a fixed cost unit, the better off you are. So it's a good thing to have.
Okay. Do you anticipate that we will have hit all the unexplored IPN at least once within this first phase of drilling?
There is one IP, that's a good question too. And there is one IP anomaly, and it's far end to the east of the property. And it's down in an arroyo and up kind of part in the mountain. Like it's a nasty thing. It'll be challenging. So I think there's going to have to be some serious dozer road building into that. So we'll work on it, but whether we can get there in time before this program is over, I don't know.
Okay, good question. I mean, the grades and the info is awesome. Why is the stock so low?
I honestly, I can't answer that. You know, I'm doing my job. I did say that, Jack, that, you know, we've been having some warrants exercise, so that could be part of it. Because yeah, you remember the financing that was done in December. For those of you, you know, the stock ran like crazy, and it settled back here at 18 or 19 cents Canadian peso. But that's still 3 times. That's 300% above where it came out in December.
Yeah.
You know, so it's still it's got legs.
Yeah, actually right now it looks like, I mean, just from the chart perspective, it looks like we've hit kind of the base here. It's sort of, actually it's bouncing off the base. So
yeah,
things are looking good. A couple of people are asking how many warrants are left.
How many warrants are left? There's approximately about $4.2 million of warrants left, I'm guessing.
Okay.
Approximately 4 to 4.2. 10 cents, that equate to 40 to 42 million warrants outstanding.
Okay, so that's the thing that's kind of keeping the stock under pressure, pretty much. No?
I think you're right. I think that's an overhang, and once that overhang's gone, it'll run. So there's a couple of things that are going to drive this. Either I'm going to deliver the goods, which will cause those to get exercised, and everyone's going to be happy, or this thing busts out by itself. Right? It just says. The people that hold those warrants say we're not selling. We still have them till, you know, over a year's time. So why do it now? And the cap's removed, and away we go. So we'll see.
Any majors contacting you?
I wouldn't be able to answer that any which way but loose. But so sorry, I can't say anything about that.
Okay. Oh, I'm surprised. We only have one question about the copper, and just to kind of recap, the copper that was a legacy asset. It's not like you're going at the copper now, because just to clear that up, that was the copper was there before you got involved with the company.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And now it's being, so just give us an update. What's happened to spin out, the dividend, all that good stuff.
Okay. So as you know, that after our taking advice from taxation lawyers and everything else, Jack, that it was determined that each Fabled silver shareholder, for each 5 shares of Fabled silver it has, or she or he has, you will get 1 free share of Fabled copper. And this will be free. It's not going to be a taxable event or anything else. And at the same time that Fabled copper will be doing a financing in the vicinity of about $6 million. All of this supposed to be finished plus or minus middle of September. all shareholders, wherever you live, whether it's the United States or the UK or Africa or Australia, if you're a registered shareholder of the company, you will receive instructions to get your copper share. What is going forward in that? Right now, we're about to demob on a $3 million exploration program for the copper company. There's going to be 10 people in the crew, 9 geologists and 1 geophysicist. There's going to be ground magnetics and VLF, very low frequency geophysics being done in specific areas. But on top of that, we will have cutting edge drone support. And there is a couple of YouTube videos of me talking about what we're doing there with the drone support, Jack. And I would tell anyone, if you want to see something really cool, I mean, and you know, and the funny thing is, Jack, you know, like I'm getting old and gray here and everything else, and it's harder and harder to find people that want to go in and, you know, climb mountains and bang on rocks and all this other stuff. But I'm telling you, these kids today, they are prepared for flying drones. I think that's what you're going to end up with, having a bunch of these guys with these high-tech drones doing exploration and cutting down on people, you know, having to.
So the drone thing is real. You know, the drone is, you know, with the drones they do it's photography, or it's still what they call the what's the thing to get to see if there's metal on the ground. What data are you getting?
Oh, no. What it is, and I invite you, the fans, if you Google YouTube or something, you'll see something we put up there about drone footage. What the thing about it is that the software that the drones have. So the drone itself it's just a flying vehicle, right? That different ranges and sizes and everything else. It's what it's holding, the magic box, what it's holding. And in this case, what we're using is what, as it's flying, say around 500 meters, sending out infrared beams, if you want to call that, hitting everything like billions of times and creating a 3D structure of what it's seeing around it. And at the same time, it's filming, and filming is actually just a series of still photography photos, one over another, fast enough. But it's filming at 8K. Now, you can't put 8K on your TV, right? And so what ends up happening, Jack, at the end of the day, you can take this drone footage, and some of the team members can pull it up on the flight pattern on their tablet. And the resolution on this 8K is 1 foot. You can take this footage of it flying through the mountain and zoom in to 1 foot.
Okay, so this is okay. So this is great stuff. Now, okay, so just I want to make sure we got the math. The math. If somebody has 5,000 shares, I know I had a problem with the math last time. So if they have 5,000 shares of FCO, they're going to get 1,000 shares of copper,
That's
right?
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly right. Yeah, you got it. Yeah.
Okay, that was the bonanza alarm going off again. Okay, so 5,000 shares, you get 1,000 shares. You got 50,000. You're going to get 10,000 shares of copper. It's a free gift, basically.
Yep.
And we may have some good news coming out for this copper, you know, based on all this, the drone, the data that they're going to get, and all that good stuff.
First week of July, everyone will be banging rocks, so there'll be lots of stuff coming out.
First week of July.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, we've been busy, very busy.
Okay, let me just see something. Okay, so okay, let me just catch up to a couple of questions here. Are you going to be going down to Mexico in the near future?
You know what? I'm just chomping at the bit to go down there, and I'm just waiting. I'm an old fart, and I'm scheduled for my second shot here. So as soon as I get that, adios amigos.
Doug asking, the surface samples reflected strong indication of silver below. Are you saying this could no longer be the case with holes 12 and 13 firing apart?
12 and 13 were very deep anomalies, Doug. And if you remember, the surface sampling we did over those areas, They didn't give a anomalous silver results. It was a few of the other ones, and actually one of the ones that gave the higher one is down in the west where we're drilling. And if you go back to that news release, you'll actually see that location to the west of the property.
I don't think we answered this question, right? So in the previous interview, you indicated holes 14, 15 were to drill into the north-south vein structure.
Yeah. No, that's a great question. You know what? And it's funny, no one caught on that one, and I thought I was going to sneak it by you guys, but no, Amanda, I'm dead in the water. You're going to see a new map come out for us on the property geology. It's going to quite surprising of everything that we've put together, and you're going to see kind of going from the west part of the property, if you can imagine kind of something going on a 45-degree angle cutting through the property on top of going through these east-west structures and everything else. And you'll see it, and you'll see surface sampling that we've been doing and everything else. And where this intersects the Santa Maria structure in the west of the property, that's where the IP anomaly is. And that's actually in the vicinity of where we drilled, right on the edge of that drilled hole number 15. So it'll be quite interesting. Yeah, no, it'll be good.
Interesting question about the warrants. So the warrant holders don't get copper shares unless they convert. They don't get basically. The warrant, the people who have the warrants, they're not going to get copper until they convert, right? So I guess the idea is how to demote. Is that going to be motivation?
I can't answer that. I can't answer that. But Jonathan's right. Yeah.
Okay, so 12 and 13 show value of the surface sampling. We're going back to the holes 12 and 13 here.
See, nothing. 0.4 of a gram, 0.5 of a gram, 1 gram.
And then you have the bonanza.
Well, that was Amanda was showing surface sampling over the IP anomalies.
Okay. What are the next drill targets after drilling the west end of the property?
You know what? There's one hole after we finish drilling the west, and you'll probably see it come out on a longitudinal section that we'll put out of kind of what we're doing to the west. But you'll see one, and there's one area, there's a gap that the underground drilling can't reach, and it's in the middle of the resource area. And there's a hole there. It's a big donut, and I want to stick a hole in there. It's got to be closed in one way or another.
Okay, let's see. Have we answered pretty much all these questions? People are asking, should we be getting? So there seems like the gold thing is getting a lot of interest. Should we be expecting some substantial gold discoveries?
I don't know. It's right now what we're seeing is the gold we're seeing now is probably 4 or 5 times above background that we're normally seeing, and it is an appreciable amount. Anything over a gram, I'd say it's interesting, and of course the silver speaks for itself.
Okay. So Peter, so let's wrap up. What's the what kind of news flow should we expect next 3-4 weeks? As we get into the peak summer months here.
Yeah, next 3 or 4 weeks, Jack, you'll be not only seeing additional drill results, you'll be seeing underground drill results, and you got to remember the underground drilling; these holes aren't as long. So they're shorter and of course quicker, and then of course they go into the assay lab quicker. So there'll be a combination of surface and underground. In addition to that, there'll be a fair amount of news updating the Fabled silver shareholders on the Fabled copper, or the creation of the Fabled copper company, and certain dates being set for special shareholder meeting and circular material that'll be sent out to them and what they could be expecting and all that good stuff. And then on top of that will be the crew of 10 plus starting to bang on copper rocks up in northern British Columbia with helicopter support and drone support. So it'll be a busy time. And probably next time I talk to you, Jack, I'm not going to have any hair left.
No. We should have some. We should have some good news here. Okay, so let's see. Anything else? Did we cover everything? I think that's it. Okay, so things are looking good. The possibility of more drilling into September also, and the back end. You got the copper spin out happening. The copper dividend the next couple of months. So things are I think we should have an exciting summer.
Yeah, no, I mean, think of it. Here we are. We're 5 months out of the gate, all cashed up, lots of money. Got 2 drills going wide open down in Mexico. About to give a 1 free share for every 5 thanks for being a silver shareholder, guys. And we're about to launch this big copper vehicle. Hey. It's a win-win for the Fabled silver shareholder, I believe.
Excellent. Okay, Peter, on that note, I want to thank you again on behalf of everybody watching who's made some money with the stock. I'm sure they're also very happy. And we'll see you on the next live stream.
Okay, sir. And don't forget, you got to do something about that fire alarm, Jack.
That's the Bonanza alarm. That's the Bonanza.
The Bonanza alarm. Yes, the Bonanza alarm.
Okay. We got to have... On the next one, we're going to have that. It's probably going to be just nonstop on the next news release.
Okay.
Thank you again. Thank you, everybody.
Very well.